Hi there, I'm Misty Ann. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my closet. If you've been here before, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what to wear for a job interview. Every week, I do wardrobe planning videos either for what to wear to work next week or what to wear for a special event like a photo shoot or an upcoming vacation. If that sounds interesting to you, please go on and subscribe and stick around for more on interview clothes.
Misty Ann's closet reboot, she's getting organized. Misty Ann's closet reboot, what a sight for your sore eyes.
Okay, so let's talk about a first interview. The rules have definitely changed for what you wear to an interview from the days back when I graduated from college or even when I was in high school and going on my first interviews. I'm in my early 50s, so if you're from that era, you'll remember you knew exactly what to wear to a first interview. It was a navy blue suit jacket with a skirt, a pencil skirt that came below the knees, a plain blouse, and stockings at that time. We definitely are not that restricted anymore. For one thing, black has definitely been for a long time a staple. Navy blue is definitely making a comeback though. So I would always say you can never go wrong with a navy blue or a black blazer, particularly in a first interview. But you are not limited to that straight pencil skirt anymore. Definitely pants are probably what I wear more often even than skirts, particularly this time of year when my legs are ghost white and I don't necessarily want to wear stockings because those definitely in Houston are not on trend, but I'm just not quite ready to go without right now. So you can kind of eliminate having to worry about the whole do I wear stockings, do I not wear stockings by just wearing a nice pair of pants that matches your jacket. I also am a big believer in the starched white shirt. So I'm wearing one of my starched white shirts, the other two are at the cleaners. So this one actually has a very subtle pinstripe to it, which is fine. You probably can't even distinguish it from the camera. But if you have a plain cotton white collared shirt, that's always your best bet. It's a nice, classic, conservative look, and it always looks sharp with navy blue or black, or even brown, which is this is what I'm wearing right now, is a dark brown suit. So this, either with that pencil skirt, if you are going to go with a skirt, I would say go with something either right at the knee or below the knee. You definitely don't want something that's going to ride too short up on your thighs. You want that nice kind of conservative, sleek look. The other thing I would say is you definitely want to have the nice kind of sleek blazer and skirt or pants. If you want to go with the wider leg pants that work a little bit better with heels or with pencil pants, that's fine. Just make sure that you have a fit that is comfortable and that is definitely not too tight. You don't want any lines or anything like that showing through. What I would say is if you're getting ready to invest in a suit, if you've got the funds to be able to do that and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to lose a couple of pounds, maybe I'll get something a little bit smaller, don't. I would say definitely err on the side of a little bit bigger. You can always have the suit altered if you do take off those couple of pounds. And I would recommend when you can, you get your suit altered anyway, just so that it fits you really well. Fit is so important for your confidence when you're walking into an interview. So that's definitely something to take in consideration, but you definitely don't want to go too tight. If you don't have a white collared shirt, you definitely could go with certain color alternatives. So this is just kind of a nice classic light blue. It's still a cotton collared shirt, so that's a good alternative. It's also something to consider for a second interview, which I'll get into in a moment. I would in general probably try to stay away from the really loud colors. This is sort of a muted maroon or burgundy, so you could probably get away with it. It's not cotton, it's more of a flowy fabric, but it has that nice collar, so a blouse like that would be just fine. Again, I would try to stick with the lighter, more neutral colors. A blush color would be wonderful as well there. If you do not have a blouse or a collared shirt, then the next alternative would be maybe a shell, flowy material shell, or the other alternative would be just part of a twin set, a little shell under a twin set. Not my preference, but I think that that still would look fine under a suit if that's what you've got. As far as jewelry goes, I would say keep it very simple. So pearls are very in now, they're very classic. What I've got here is just this nice little David Yurman chain with a pearl pendant. You could even wear this chain without the pearl pendant. One of the things that you want to take into consideration when you're looking at a necklace is the 2-finger rule. I believe Angela Britt had brought that up when I did a video with her. You want to be either 2 fingers above or below the neckline on whatever you're wearing. And speaking of necklines, we definitely want to keep this, keep your blouse buttoned to where it's conservative, nothing showing that shouldn't be showing. We want people paying attention to you and what you have to say and the skills you have to bring to this opportunity rather than what you're wearing. So that's the idea behind being kind of neutral and sleek. The other option you have would be just little faux pearls. I got these years ago. The great thing about these is, especially when you're wearing a suit, is that you can adjust them pretty easily. If you need to go a little bit shorter, then you can just take these little hooks and just kind of get them in there and nobody's going to see because it's tucked behind your suit jacket. So just kind of a nice, classic, clean look. As far as earrings go, again, you don't want something that has a big dangle that's going to draw a lot of attention or that might make noise. Right now, I'm just wearing little pearl stud earrings. These are a good option. Another option would be just a very small, conservative, plain hoop. Nothing too big or too dangly. Or I have just kind of these like very thick like little hoops. So again, just kind of a nice clean conservative look. With this particular silver necklace, I just have these little silver dangles. They do dangle a little bit, but they're not very big or very imposing, so that's fine. And then if you have a simple ring that you want to wear, or a wedding ring and a wedding band you want to wear, that's great. As far as bracelets go, I would say don't get too crazy on those. You definitely don't want something that's going to be jingling and distracting and making noise. You're going to be shaking hands, so you don't need to get too crazy on that. But one thing you might want to consider if you just really want to wear something on your wrist is just a nice, plain, classic watch. Nothing too overblown, definitely nothing super blingy, but just something kind of classic. There's a lot of great options out there right now. One thing I would caution you about the watch, it looks great that you're paying attention to time, that you are on time to your interview, so that's what wearing a watch says. What you don't want to do is look at the watch during the interview, because that says you're not fully engaged, you're not paying attention. So definitely wear one if you just feel like you have to have something on your wrist, but don't look at it during the interview. Okay, for shoes, you can never go wrong with just a nice basic black pump. These are Anne Klein. I got these recently at DSW. I think they were $60. You can find nice plain black pumps on sale just about anywhere for all kinds of price points. So I would say just don't get too crazy with embellishments. Again, just a nice, simple black line. You don't want to get too crazy with the heel. Lower heels are absolutely fine. If it's 2 inches, 1 inch, that's fine. Up to 3 or 4 inches are fine. You probably don't want to go with something a whole lot higher than that. Again, you really want people paying attention to you more than necessarily your accessories. One alternative would be these pumps. This is actually like a black snakeskin. It's not real snakeskin, but faux snakeskin. That's fine. These are still fairly conservative and they're not going to draw too much attention, so that would be okay. Another alternative that you have is going with a nude color pump, which is very in style right now. I would definitely, with all of these, try to stick with a closed toe, just a nice basic line. You can still look kind of chic with, like, for instance, these Tamara Melons have sort of a nice geometric heel, so they've got a little bit of interest in that, but then they're still nice and clean. The other thing I would say about your heels though is make sure they're in good shape. You don't want something that's skinned up or scuffed up. Definitely give them a little polish or a little shine before you walk out so that they look nice and clean and repaired. The other thing I just wanted to mention is peep toes. I really do think it's best if you can go with a closed toe pump. If you have no other option other than peep toes, I'm actually wearing some right now. These are just a nice classic Gucci peep toe pump. But if you're going to do this, make sure you have got a good recent pedicure and you're not wearing a crazy color. I'm just wearing white on my toes right now. That's a good option, or just something that's going to be a little bit more subdued. Let's talk about some other options beyond suit for either your second interview or if you just don't have access to a suit for your first interview. So another good option is just a nice little twin set. So you could still do this with just a nice basic pencil skirt. You can find pencil skirts affordably. And then if you just have like a nice little cardigan, in this case, I've got the matching shell that goes under it and just a very basic piece of jewelry over it. This is just a little Kendra Scott. But again, you don't want to get too crazy with that. I would not necessarily recommend a big loud pattern on a scarf. If you have a plain scarf, that would be another option. But this is definitely another way that you can go that's a nice conservative look and maybe something to consider for a second interview if you don't have the means to have two suits. Okay, another option is to go with, again, just to go with a nice, simple black dress with the straight lines, and I put this with a light colored blazer. You could also pair this with the cardigan if you don't have access to your blazer. And then again, that's a nice, sleek look and a good alternative if you don't have a suit or for a second interview. So speaking of second interviews, so now you've killed it on your first interview, you're coming back for another one. I only have one suit, what do I do now? So one of the things that you can do is, we're sticking with that same black blazer. Now I've put it with that blue top, so you put it with maybe a little bit different colored top, and then you go with a different colored skirt. So in this case, I've put it with a charcoal skirt that has a little bit of black in it, has a little bit of pattern, but you could also go with the lighter colored skirt. So, and the same thing would work for pants too, as long as you stick with that similar fabric and you're not going with like a khaki or something more casual. But if you're just sticking with that kind of a similar fabric, then that should work just fine as well. So those are my tips for what to wear for an interview. Now I do want to bring your attention to another video that I recently watched by a young lady who had had an interview with Ulta Beauty in retail. So she actually went to the interview wearing the uniform that she had seen people wear at Ulta Beauty, which was all black. And I liked that idea because it said, hey, I'm already ready to go. I'm already ready to dress as though I'm already working here. And I do think that that's something to consider. That being said, you can always wear a suit or always wear a blazer to an interview, and I think that's ever going to be a bad option, even if it's for a very casual job. It says, I take this job seriously. If the person that's interviewing you makes a comment or says something about what you could wear to or might want to wear for the next interview, that's a little bit different. But if you're not getting any specific guidance from the interviewer, it's always better to go a little bit dressier as opposed to casual, because that says, I really take this opportunity seriously. Okay, let's talk about resources. Some people that are getting ready to go into the interview process may be fortunate enough that they've got somebody that can fund them purchasing a couple of key pieces. If you are looking to purchase a little bit higher end suit, again, keep in mind the fit comments. If you can afford to have it tailored, that's wonderful. Definitely don't go too small thinking that you're going to lose weight. Get something that really fits you. If you are not in that situation, you have a couple of other alternatives. So one of them would be to borrow something. If you have a friend that's around the same size as you, a lot of times your friends are more than happy to help you out in this situation. So that's one thing to take into consideration. Another thing to take into consideration is renting. So if you know that you're going to be going on a bunch of interviews, if you've just graduated from school, or if you've just achieved some new level of education, maybe a PhD or some other kind of life change, and you know you're going to be talking to a lot of people, that's not a bad way to go. It gives you an opportunity to have some pretty high-end pieces that you maybe would not necessarily be ready to invest in just yet, but that will make you feel really great in the interview process. And it also gives you an opportunity to have some things to change out, so you don't feel like you're wearing the same thing over and over again. Another option would be to go to some of the discount stores, or even a little bit higher end stores that are just having really great sales. Keep your eye out for that. What I would say to keep in mind if you are going to a discount store is really looking at simplicity. You want something that's sleek. You don't want to get things with a bunch of embellishment on them. So sort of the more elegant, the more simple lines, the more high-end look that the piece is going to have. And then another option, which would be great to consider, and this is very timely because they're doing a lot of fundraising right now, is an organization like Dress for Success, where you go there and they will fit you with an outfit. I believe they have shoes as well, and give you some great pointers on interviewing. They are a wonderful, wonderful organization. So if you found yourself in a situation where you really don't have a lot of means and you do need to work, I highly recommend you check out Dress for Success. If you would like to see some more about what to wear to an interview, maybe about makeup or grooming for an interview, please let me know in the comments. I've got a few wonderful makeup artists that I would love to collaborate with and give you some ideas for that. If you are in a position where you are doing a lot of hiring, either in human resources or just as a manager, or if you're a recruiter and you've got some great pointers on what to and what to not wear for an interview, please go on and leave us a comment, spread the wealth, and if I get enough of those, I may do a second video with that. If this was helpful for you, please give me a like, and please be sure to share it with anybody else you know that may be interested, that's about to go into a job interview. And everyone have a wonderful week in the meantime.